Hey guys, what's up? I'm Cody the Coin Raptor. I've got a fantastic video for you today. I want to talk about a massive narrative change going on in crypto and throughout the wider macroeconomic picture. But before we get to that, be sure to smash that subscribe button to see my latest content and check out my Twitter account for the most up-to-date information. So, we've had a pretty impressive day today for Bitcoin and crypto prices. Now, we had one really important event happen today, something I've talked about before, and that is the FOMC and specifically Fed Chair Jerome Powell talking and having a conference trying to get his expectations set for lowering inflation and how much they expect to raise interest rates. So they raised interest rates today about 25 basis points, so about 0.25%. And they've said some very interesting things. He said some very interesting things during the press conference today. One of the most interesting parts of this is he said, we can now say for the first time that the disinflationary process has started. This right here is enormous for Bitcoin and crypto. Because previously, I've been talking about the macroeconomic picture not being great for Bitcoin and investors going very risk off. Now, what you see here is a change in the narrative, a potential pivot, almost admitting, Jerome Powell almost admitting that there's going to be a pivot going on this year, both for the rate of interest increases to come down, okay, and then eventually pause, and then possibly this year, let's say about Q4 or so, we might actually wind up seeing a lowering of interest rates. And the reason why this is important is because for investors to go risk on, they need to have an environment in which the interest rates are not rising, okay? That's immediately going to be a massive help to crypto and to Bitcoin. So after Jerome Powell talked, what we had here was we had the NASDAQ taking off like a rocket, up over 2% today. And subsequently, Bitcoin also went up. But I want to go ahead and show you the relationship between Bitcoin and the Fed funds rate. Okay, so you can see here, Fed funds rate here is in orange. You have your Bitcoin price here in the candlestick pattern here. And you can see that based on when the Fed funds rate increases, we do tend to see a huge leveling off and then eventually a giant capitulation going on here in the Bitcoin price. So it tends to react rather negatively to these massive interest rate increases. And so what we saw here is that as soon as around 2019 or so, as soon as they paused and then immediately started lowering rates, we saw a massive spike in the crypto prices going all the way here from $38.79 for Bitcoin all the way up to about $13,000. And then as the Fed funds rate came down, you saw here down to zero, you saw a kind of sideways action, but then a massive explosion of the crypto prices, and you saw the start of the next bull market here in this February, November 2020 rally, all the way up to March of 2021. And then on the other side of this, you're seeing the Fed funds rate start to spike back up again here on the 31st of January. And you're starting to see Bitcoin capitulate completely all the way down here as the Fed funds rate increases massively. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is a future in which they, just like here in 2019, the Fed stops raising rates, pauses, and then starts lowering rates, and we will see a big increase in the Bitcoin price. This is one of the main things that I've been looking for this whole time to kind of give me an idea, a signal of a potential bull market. Now, this is just kind of a first sort of kind of like a cautious optimism right now, but the signs are very good so far. I am cautiously optimistic that this will come to fruition and we will see another increase in the Bitcoin price as investors become risk on. All right. Now, as for today's move specifically, we're going to go ahead and take a look at today's move. So today's move was also pretty huge for Bitcoin. So what we have here is Bitcoin going over that tough resistance level here at about 23,800. It pushed all the way up here to about 24,230. So we have a new high, a new yearly high for Bitcoin. Okay, so that's major news here. We're seeing some volume come in here, right? If you go ahead and take a look at the RSI, so there's a little bit of a caution. I'm definitely looking at trying to add to my position during a pullback, and I do think that there's still going to wind up being a pullback. We got a little bit of that back on Monday, but that was quickly erased and it pushed higher. But if you'll notice, RSI right now on the daily still very high at about 75, so that's incredibly high. And on top of that, we still have decreasing volume. So even though the investors and hodlers are becoming more bullish, they're starting to decrease in strength. That being said, what I think this likely signals is that we probably will not get a retest of the lows back here in December and November. I think that that's fairly likely that those are the lows for the market. Now, with that in mind, again, cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic that that's the case. I am waiting for yet another pullback here, okay, down to a level, preferably in this area right here, in which I can buy some more Bitcoin. But I'm not going to rush it because right now, like I said, Bitcoin's very overbought. And on top of that, we've already had a ton of good news pull all this Bitcoin demand forward. But the most important part of this is the fact that I am cautiously optimistic that the future for this year for the Bitcoin price is going to be excellent. Okay. So if we go ahead and take a look at the funding rate, so we looked at the spot prices. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at derivatives here for a second, the futures. And so what we're seeing here is another big spike in the strength of the longs. Longs are strong. Longs are dominant. And in fact, they've increased their positions significantly in the past day or so, judging by this huge spike we see here with the green. And there really aren't any shorts. Shorts are nowhere to be found. Shorts have not been dominant since the 19th of December. This has been, at least from a derivatives perspective, a long bull market ever since that point. If you take a look here at this funding rate, that's what you're looking at right now, in which longs are dominant, longs are strong, and shorts have just gotten completely annihilated. I've talked earlier about the liquidations and just the massive amount of liquidations we've seen in the crypto space, but shorts are getting destroyed right now. Now, if we go back and we take a look at Ethereum's price action, Ethereum is in a very similar position as Bitcoin. It broke out here at about 1662 or so, and it's actually pushed above this other resistance point here at about 1675. It's kind of sitting on it right now, but it did wick above it earlier. So this is an area that I'm looking at for resistance. And with Ethereum, I do think it's also going to pull back as well. You could probably see a pullback here to about 1,500. I think that would be very healthy, and that would be some strong support for Ethereum as well. So I'm also looking at adding to my Ethereum position as soon as we get a pullback. Now, what you're looking at here for the next level of resistance is going to be up here at about 1789. That's going to be your next resistance point. And then above that, there's not really much going on here until you hit about 2000. And that takes you back to the August highs. All right, so we're also going to take a look at Binance Coin as well. Binance Coin also broke out today, and in fact, now it's kind of looking like, before I was thinking this might be like a double top, now it's definitely looking like it's not going to be a double top, and the next resistance level for Binance Coin will be 359, and you'll have your November highs at that point, okay? But just like with Ethereum and Bitcoin, I do think we're going to wind up getting a pullback here in the next, I'd say about a week, maybe a little bit longer, give it some time. These bull markets, okay, for these coins don't just go up in one direction. They do tend to take a break. They do tend to take a breather. If we go back and we take a look at the incoming bull market, the last bull market here, we do see a lot of upwards action, but we also see some sideways action as well as and some pullbacks here and there. And especially here, what you see is it actually came up here and then it pulled back significantly, and then it continued on the bull market rally. So that's what I'm expecting here for Binance Coin and also for Ethereum and Bitcoin, that they're going to have these pullbacks in which you could potentially, in which I will add to my position and I will make sure that I will post that on Twitter when I do, but I'm still remaining very patient in this market. Okay? All right, so that's all I've got for you guys today. So what do you guys think about what Jerome Powell said? Is there something specifically that he said that you guys are interested in, or something that signaled to you that the Fed is close to being done with their rate increases? All right, leave a comment below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.